Hey, this is Khan, you're watching Ninja Pulls, and welcome back to week 3 of PTS and the latest patch notes. This is going to be a short video because honestly, the combat changes were announced in advance last week, and these patch notes mostly confirm and clarify the devs' previous posts on the subject. So, they are indeed reverting the week 1 adjustments to Ultigen passives. So instead of them turning into minor heroism across the board, which made these passives pointless in a lot of cases, they're using the cooldown for each passive and applying it to all the others, which is a much more sensible way of doing it. The example of it here is if you have Corpse Consumption and Prism, because your character has both Gravelord and Dawn's Wrath as active skill lines, if you trigger Corpse Consumption first, you will not be able to trigger either for 16 seconds. And if you trigger Prism after that cooldown window, the next cooldown would be 6 seconds and so on. So this has gone from one of the most despised changes of recent years that I can think of, to a perfectly sensible and acceptable way to rein in some of the power creep from subclassing. Meanwhile, the Nightblade's Catalyst passive has also been spared from heroism. It once again generates ultimate outright, but it's been reduced by 27%, from 30 to 22 ultimate, which still seems worth using. The Sorcerer buffs were put back where they belong. Bound Aegis grants minor protection once again, but the other morph, Bound Armaments, is losing that max stat increase, which is going to another Sorc passive, Blood Magic. I commented on this in my last video, saying that it was encouraging to see the devs seemingly testing an idea which I've been very keen on since subclassing was on PTS. That we take some of the power in each class toolkit and spread it around a bit more, so we don't have these outlier skill lines with a really high concentration of damage tools and damage passives, for example. And I'm glad to see that's exactly what the devs say they are doing. We're taking the passive slot effect from Bound Armor and its morphs and placing it here to ensure base Sorcerer classes can retain the effects and get a small boost in some cases, while also moving it to a less utilized skill line. We know this isn't a silver bullet to make Dark Magic a desired skill line, but we're using this as an experiment to see if this sort of shuffling of power is seen as a good thing or not in the brave new subclassing world. Definitely give us your feedback on this. Now, this is probably too isolated an example to generate lots of real, in-depth feedback on its own, but I would encourage everyone who's interested in the future version of the combat system to think about this idea and let Zos know if you think they're on the right track. Despite some squabbling here and there, I think we all want pretty much the same basic thing: a combat system with depth, variety, and which rewards those who put in a little extra effort, without being overwhelmingly complicated or leaving more casual players behind. Finally, they confirmed and clarified the Arcanist class mastery change. The banner, for instance, will only generate Crux if you have none already, in which case it will generate 3 ultimate instead. I still wonder if a longer cooldown on the Crux generation wouldn't have been a better way to go about this. It would certainly have been easier for players to understand, but we'll see how this plays once it hits the live server. Other changes include fixes and improvements to the new dungeons, some of which will make things a bit easier, some of which will do the opposite. A progress bar for the Writhing Wall World event has been added to the Solstice and Sturk map UI, which is very cool. No word on the daily quest, which seems to be completely broken for me, but hopefully more on that later. Gishsaw, the big boss, has also received a big buff, which is a very good sign. I've been saying all week that the siege camp encounters in the Writhing Wall event do seem worryingly easy, even for a solo player in a squishy DPS build with no tankiness or healing. Once this event goes live, and there are dozens of players at least descending on these camps, I am concerned that they're going to melt far too quickly. People aren't going to have time to reach these encounters in time, and those that do aren't going to experience any kind of challenge or satisfaction from defeating them. And that's about it. Like I said, a very short one this time, because we've covered most of it in advance. Still, some extra context and clarification which I thought was worth sharing with you guys. I hope it was illuminating. More videos on the way, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.